Hi, how are you? Can you hear me? Okay, thank you so much. My English is not perfect yet because I only speak Spanish, but I try to, to speak a lot English language. I'm sorry for that. Who I am? My name is Gerardo Castro from Peru. I'm AWS security hero. In my employer, Kaleidos, I work as security sales specialist. I am here to talk about how to stop back people from getting access to your data. This is a bit of what we are going to see, but I won't stop here for obvious reason. First, have you heard about multi-account strategy? What does Julius Caesar have to do with this? Well, to have good governance over our AWS workloads, the main recommendation today is to use a multi-account strategy. This way, you can control each part of your organization and have a centralized security purpose. So what are resource control policies? They are a new type of permission in AWS organization. You can use them to set the maximum level of access to resources in your whole organization. They are a kind of protection that helps you create a data perimeter in your AWS account and stock outside access to your resource in a big way. In conclusion, RCP do not give permission, they only set maximum limits. Now, what security approach should we use? Let's look at the difference between distributed control and centralized control. Distributed control, in short, is the ability to apply security rules depending on the need, but often in isolated way. At first, it can work fine, but later you see that you lose control and visibility, because you have to respond to specific needs in each environment. On the other hand, with centralized control, you get a central security governance. This is possible because there was a plan before where the required and strongly recommended security controls were defined. Then the scope is set for the whole organization. Now, let's learn about the journey to set up a security control for data perimeter. This is not only for RCP, resource control policy, but also for service control policy and guardrails that you enable when using control tower, for example. As we can see, it's a continuous journey. It doesn't go just from step 1 to step 5. There is one more step, continuous improvement. This makes the process an evolving path, not a fixed goal. Now, let's talk about step 1. Phase 1. Tell us that we need to make an evaluation and understand what we want to achieve. Is it compliance, confidentiality, to limit cross-access, for example? What strategy will help us protect the data? As you can see in the image, the organization has used a strategy where an authorized resource can access another resource through cross-account access in AWS, but it blocks any unauthorized resource from accessing that resource. And below, in the below image, there is a resource policy that made this possible. No? It's an example. It's a example scenario. In the phase 3, For example, we need to create all those security guardrails that will help us meet our control objective or control goals inside the organization. Once they are created and set up, we move the next phase. Now, we have talked about checking our needs or control goals, creating the security policies, and then setting them up, right? But we haven't talked about how the policies could cause a problem with business availability. For that, it is important to test all our policies in a sandbox environment so that when we move them our production environment, they don't cause any uses. There are different ways to reduce the impact of a policy that was not tested or was set up in the wrong way, for example. First, by fully knowing the trusted identity in my organization, in our organization. Another way is by knowing all the STS API calls, for example, to see who is doing an assume role. We can store ClockTrail logs in a bucket and use Athena next to search through this data. In this phase, it's talk about automating the setup of guardrails. One recommendation is to use Control Tower, which has a controls library. With it, you can use dozens of control by service, by security framework, for example, NIST, PCI, whatever, or by control work, for example, how to control, how to enable protection data, protection logs, protection application, etc. In this phase, it is important to watch how your policies behave. Not only to see the possible impact they can cause if they are not well designed or implemented, but also to understand which policy is blocking the most actions. This helps you to see the attack pattern that someone may be trying to use to break in your organization. I have in my YouTube channel, AWS Security Latam, how to implement RCP, SCP, identity policy, resource policy in a strategy of multi-accounts AWS, but there is a problem. All the content is in Spanish, not in English for now. So in this learning talk, I can't show a demo because show all the demo about how implementing data perimeter using all this strategy is a lot. But maybe can you use search the YouTube channel at AWS Security Latam in see the video and get the idea to implement in your console. I hope this talk can be interesting for you, and that the next time I promise speak better the English. Thank you so much.